You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Thursday night AngryMarks.com post Wrestle Kingdom 12 podcast. My name is Stevie J. I'm the owner of AngryMarks.com, but I am not the one who recapped the show last night. That would be my first co-host on the line, the incredible Great Sudoku.
Hey, Angry Marks, yeah, and one thing I really loved about Wrestle Kingdom 12, I will be positive here, was the awesome entrance of Marty Scurll. Those wings that sprouted out of his back were amazing. Best entrance of the night, by far, goes to Marty Scurll.
I don't know, that entrance from Kenny Omega with his literal V-trigger was pretty damn cool, too.
He looked like Anubis. He looked like like people who, like me, who didn't know anything about video games, or like modern video games anywhere, were like, yeah, he looks like something out of Stargate.
Well, we definitely had lots of anime and video game themes, but we won't delve into that too much right now because I have somebody else that's equally incredible to Jason that I have to introduce. He is the AIWF Heavyweight Champion, the incredible William Huckabee.
First of all, it's the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion. Like 110 affiliates, and I'm number one out of all of them. And contrary to what you guys say, I believe that Cheeseburger had the biggest pop of the night. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there.
I am so sad that you had Cheeseburger and Jushin Liger in the same Rumble, but not in the ring together. That is a huge botch on New Japan's part.
Well, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and talk about that pre-show Rumble, because I didn't wake up till 2 in the morning, so I missed it. Fill me in.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I actually liked it. I know Jason was not happy with it whatsoever because besides the last entrant, I don't think there was really any huge surprises. But I was happy. I was especially happy for my good friend and buddy and member of the Bullet Club and honorary Tongan, Chase Owens. He did a great job, man, and it took 3 members of LIJ to get him out of there. So,
well, he was better than the other member of the Bullet Club that showed up in the Rumble.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man, because, you know.
Gino Gambino.
Yeah. Was it just me, Jason? Was it just me, or was there a lot of people from like New Zealand in this Rumble for some reason? Like, it was a lot of people that I really wasn't familiar with. Like,
he was there. Hanare came out, but Hanare had this like complete Maori gimmick going on. Like, he had like some kind of like sarong type wrap on. He had the Chakotay facial tattoo thing going on. Like, he completely went native.
All right, well, just for the record, I have the complete list of entrants in alphabetical order except for the winners. So it was Bushi, Chase Owens, Cheeseburger, David Finlay, Delirious, El Desperado, Gino Gambino, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Jushin Thunder Liger, Katsuya Kitamura, Leo Tonga, Manabu Nakanishi, Satoshi Kojima, Takuma Shinoku, Tiger Mask, Toa Hinari, Yoshihashi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Yuji Nagata, Yuichiro Takahashi, with Peter, and our winner, Masahito Kakahara.
I will concede that this is a feel-good. I mean, it didn't resonate with me, but I'll concede that Kakihara was a feel-good story. It was good to Japanese fans. It is good to UWF fans. It is good for Takayama fans, for people who are into that, and it resonated with them great. Yeah, for me, though, you know, it would have been nice if there had been more surprises. If Chono had stepped into the ring, or if Muto had stepped into the ring and Kakihara destroyed him, it would have made a lot more of an impact than him destroying Cheeseburger.
true. But if you don't know what Jason's referring to, Kakahara's had some battles with cancer. He's been diagnosed with malignant lymphoma several times, so it was definitely an emotional moment, not only for him to be in the Rumble, but to be the winner.
But yeah, I think it was just kind of an ominous sign of things to come that you have Cheeseburger in the New Japan Rumble, you have Jushin Liger in the New Japan Rumble, but they're not in the ring at the same time.
Fair enough. But it seems like, in hindsight, I wish I had seen it just for the pop that either Cheeseburger got, which Will swears is the loudest of anybody, or the pop for Kakahara when he won. I would love to have seen either one.
The pop for Cheeseburger was huge. Like, the Japanese fans love Cheeseburger. And whatever year it may be that Cheeseburger finally wins the Rumble, that place is going to explode. I don't care what anybody says.
Fair enough.
We won't need a Wrestle Kingdom after that. I mean, you just can't top that. You can't top Cheeseburger winning the Rambo.
Well,
Of course not.
For Wrestle Kingdom 12 itself, I would like to offer the following disclaimer. I'm not a booker. It is not my profession. It is not my job. I do not deign to be one. I play amateur armchair booker on this show from time to time, as do my co-hosts, because we like to think we know better than some of the bookers do, and Will probably does, because he's actually been in that situation himself behind the scenes. But I don't claim to know the mind of Gato. I don't know the storylines or creative directions they're going, so I'm going to judge matches on whether or not I enjoyed them bell to bell, as opposed to whether the person I wanted to win won or not. So on that basis, I don't agree with
of crack.
I don't agree with the Young Bucks going over Roppongi 3K, but as the match goes, I enjoyed the match. So with that said,
as the match goes, I enjoyed the second half of the match. The first half of the match, as Abby pointed out on Twitter, Yo and Sho were completely outclassed and not showing much. I don't know if they were not showing much or if the Bucks just weren't selling for them or what the deal was, but it almost looked like Yo and Sho didn't show up for the first half of the match, and then things picked up about halfway through.
All right. Will, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think it was so much that they were outclassed. I think it was just the fact that the Young Bucks are just way more experienced. They're a lot more polished. And in my opinion, Sho and Yo, they just came back from excursion. This is their first Wrestle Kingdom, as part of being on the main show. So I think a lot of it was just nerves, when you're still very young in the business. And that was a large crowd. That was not a typical Wrestle Kingdom size crowd.
34,000 people.
Yes. 34,000 people, which they said was on the average, 10, 15,000 more than last year.
I'm sorry all those people had to witness such a lackluster Wrestle Kingdom.
It was not
more for their money.
It was not a lackluster Wrestle Kingdom. But no, Sho and Yo, I think they got settled down, and I think the Young Bucks talked to them in the ring and was like, all right, guys, just settle down. We got this. You know what to do. The match progressed from there. I don't agree with the Young Bucks going over either. But I can see why they did it. I just don't agree with it at all either.
All right. Well, hopefully Sho and Yo get a rematch and get a chance to get the titles back. Perhaps at, what's that first big show of the season? A New Beginning? Isn't that what they call it?
In February. Yeah, right after Fantastica Mania. There's actually two of them. There's 2 nights, I forget the cities. There's 2 nights in one city and then another Road to and then another New Beginning in some other city. So it's a multi-pronged attack there with the first real show of the year.
Now, just before we move on, I want to mention a couple of things that you put in your recap that I noticed in the match that I really liked. The double sharpshooter spot, while
when they were slapping each other. Yeah, we had Yo and Matt Jackson each locking a member of the other team, each locking their respective opponents in sharpshooters. And while they had the sharpshooters apply, Yo and Matt Jackson slapped each other. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I got a big kick out of that. And I also yelped out loud when Matt Jackson powerbombed Rocky Romero on the ramp. I was like, oh,
ouch.
My God, that had to hurt.
Oh, my God, that looked like it hurt.
And one other thing
Go ahead,
Will.
I actually liked it when, who was it? Was it Sho and Nick Jackson were kicking, their respective opponents in the back, looking at each other? It's like, oh, really? Like, I'll just kick your tag partner. Okay, well, I'll kick your partner.
No, it's done like this. No, you kick them like this. No, like this.
Like, that was probably my favorite spot. I really, to tell you the truth, I did not like the finish for this match. Did not, with all the things, all the creative ways all as creative as these four people were, these four guys were, with all the creative spots they gave us, that finish just kind of fell very flat. I don't know how you felt, Jason, but the finish was very, very anticlimactic for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, especially we've seen
like
them with a sharpshooter before.
Right.
There's precedent for it, but yeah, I mean, I didn't like who won. I didn't like how it was won. I mean, yeah, to me, if you want to beat a young team, don't beat them with the sharpshooter. Go all out with more bang for your buck. Do some high flying. Holy shit! Look what they just pulled off, and the taste wouldn't be quite so sour that the Young Bucks won because they just impressed the hell out of me with how they ended the match. This was just kind of, oh yeah, a sharpshooter.
Except, I will say, it felt like because of the spots we've already mentioned and one we didn't mention, which was Nick Jackson grabbing Matt's hand to prevent him from tapping out to a sharpshooter.
That was pretty funny, too, yeah.
So I'm okay with Nick Jackson tapping out Yo because sharpshooters were kind of a theme throughout the whole match. But we can move on from that. We can talk about what Jason called the gauntlet clusterfuck for the worthless never six-man titles.
These titles were worthless, and while I had a really negative opinion of Wrestle Kingdom, I gave it like a C or a C- grade. While I called this a gauntlet clusterfuck and that the titles are worthless, this was a fun match. Yeah. As much shit as I give Toru Yano, as much shit as I give Taichi, this was a fun match.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I have no problem with the finish of it either. So, yeah, Beretta, Toru Yano, and Tomohiro Ishii, that's a fun little team.
Yano, king of roll-up.
Yano, king of comedy. And of course...
Oh, yeah, I love that spot where he took the turnbuckle cover, tossed it to Juice. Juice kind of looks at it, not knowing what to do, tosses it to the referee, and then just Yano wails on him.
Yeah, that was great. I love the hell out of that.
The only thing I don't like about this match is the fact that Ishii is now, the holder of what we've all decided is a worthless, known meaning having nothing title. Like, Ishii is so much better than the six-man title. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see him at the top of the card in singles matches, killing it like he's been killing all year. That was the biggest disappointment, was the fact that they stuck him in this horrible, horrible position now.
Well, you could say it's horrible, but it'd be even more horrible to not be on the card at all. So call it a worthless title if you want, but at least he got to win a title on the biggest show of the year.
Yeah. At least he wasn't just shoved into the Rambo, because, at least he had a spot on the card proper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and is it just me, or was it like the Japanese part of the Bullet Club? And when I say that, I mean, the Gorillas of Destiny and Bad Luck Fale, like, they just kind of phoned it in my opinion. Like, they could have not been on the show, and I would not have missed them at all.
Well, it's funny you mentioned
that. An interesting point that somebody mentioned, too. They said, and I watched the Japanese commentary. I don't know if anyone watched the English commentary, but did anyone make reference on commentary to Bullet Club itself?
Well, I watched the English version today of Jericho versus Omega, and I didn't hear a single Bullet Club mention from anybody on commentary.
They didn't mention the Bullet Club. I can't really remember them mentioning the Bullet Club. I
saw it on the Young Bucks trunks, but I don't remember hearing it from commentary. I don't remember hearing Bullet Club uttered as a phrase.
I think they mentioned it with Chase Owens during the Rambo, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said this might be an ongoing storyline, so I'm waiting to see if they go somewhere with that during the Dash, and if not, maybe after that. But this could be something that they might be teasing a faction or a dissolution in the Bullet Club. We'll just have to
That was kind of the storyline that they put on hold once they got a hold of Jericho to feud with Omega. They knew about that in the summer, and that's right around the time that tension between Cody and Omega kind of died off. Right. It's kind of my opinion that, once they got Jericho in, that dissension in Bullet Club got put onto the back burner, and now that we've had Omega versus Jericho, that might get put onto the front burner now. We might see some dissension within Bullet Club.
And speaking of Cody, we had Cody versus Kota Ibushi, and Ibushi won with an insane, using Jason's description, insane Phoenix Splash.
It was insane. It was just the speed and the rotation that he got on that Phoenix Splash, and I am the world's biggest Hayabusa mark. I have a Hayabusa tattoo on my left arm. That being said, Kota Ibushi hit an insane Phoenix Splash.
What I thought was insane was how much time you and I spent arguing about whether or not Cody Rhodes had good hair for this.
Like I said, I like Roy Batty in Blade Runner, but I just don't like him in a New Japan ring.
I just think it's a good look for him as, like, a street punk young tough type. It's like
what I wish I had a drop of, Stevie? I wish I had a drop of from Fight Club where he goes, and you're too blonde!
You can say that all you want, but I looked at him like with that blonde hair and it being styled straight up and to the back, and I was thinking, this is like a Yakuza tough guy from an anime. And you're like, not everything from Japan has to be anime. I'm like, okay, not everything does. I acknowledge that. Not every video game has to have Japanese references in it either, but sometimes things just look like what they look like, and Cody looked like an anime tough guy.
Yeah, first you said it made him look Japanese, and I'm like, nothing's going to make Cody look Japanese, and then you said, no, he looks anime, and I'm like, yeah, well, anime and Japanese aren't exactly synonymous, so yeah, I will concede that he looked anime, but he did not look Japanese.
He just looked more the part of a New Japan wrestler with that style. Will you at least accept that?
He's looked better, and I don't know if this is coincidence or if this has something to do with it, but the two guys who get a ton of shit for wrestling blow-up dolls brought in the two best matches of Wrestle Kingdom 12. Coincidence?
No, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but I do know Cody had his working shoes on, and maybe that's because he was in there with Kota Ibushi, who's in my top 5 best wrestlers in the world right now, but these two were not going to go out there and let the crowd down. They put on a hell of a good match.
Now, I could have sworn a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about when we were previewing this pay-per-view, I was like, Cody Rhodes is going to have like the performance of a lifetime. Like, they put him in the ring with Ibushi because it's like, if you can't have a good match with this guy, then there's nothing else we can do. And in my opinion, I feel like Kota Ibushi did not carry him through this match. I feel like Cody Rhodes really stepped up. He has some really creative spots. Usually I'm not a huge fan of, like, if you're going to bring your manager out there, make sure they have a spot or whatever the case may be. Not really a huge fan of things like that. For the most part, when you have the manager and the manager gets involved a lot of times. But I loved how they use Brandy during the match and stuff, especially that when Ibushi did that slingshot dive or whatever and landed on both Cody and Brandy, and he stopped, and he's like such a gentleman, and he's just like, oh God, he goes to pick her up, and then Cody hits him while he's holding his wife, and I'm just like, Jesus, Cody, that's really savage. And then you realize, they're just fucking with him. Like, that is, like, I thought that was amazing. I thought she did a really good job being the fourth person out there.
Speaking of amazing, that crossroads that he hit on Kota Ibushi from the apron to the floor.
Oh, God.
Snap.
Oh, gee. I, like, woke my wife up. And I, like, woke my wife up as soon as I could find, like, a gif of that on Twitter. I woke my wife up and was like, watch this. And she watched it and she was like, oh God, did he finish? And I'm like, yeah, and he went over.
He won.
That was at least one of 4 or 5 times during this show that I said out loud, oh my God, oh Jesus, because I thought somebody was going to die. That was one of them.
Yes.
I think one thing that really played well with this match too is that Kota Ibushi has done some silly stuff and some comedy stuff. Not so much in this match, but it played well. He knows how to mesh with Cody, who just generally isn't the most serious wrestler in the world.
Oh, without a doubt, I definitely agree with that. Like, they fed very well off each other. Like, I would not be disappointed if they had a rematch at New Beginning. I would, or any time during the year. If there was a
New Year's Dash tomorrow, I wouldn't be sad if they had a rematch.
Exactly. Like, if these two guys met up in the ring together, whether tag team or singles, I would not be opposed to it.
No.
This was my second favorite match of the entire card.
Well, for me, the next match is emotionally a close tie. It maybe wasn't better wrestling-wise, but the finish made me pop, and who was in it made me invested, because Sonata and Evil were challenging the Killer Elite Squad for the IWGP Tag Team titles, and boy, did they get the psychology going early, because they turned Evil into a corpse in the middle of the ring. They couldn't even
They
snapmare him
sure
over
did.
because his body was just limp and dead. And I was immediately invested. I'm like, oh my God, is Evil going to come back from this? Are they going to find some way to get past this? Because he's been left for dead here.
That's how you do it. You get Stevie's favorite wrestler and you murder him early in the match, and he sits up and takes notice.
Yeah, I did. I was fully into this. Go ahead, Will.
I'm about to say, like, there was a point in this match. I guess, like, the first half of this match when they're just putting the boots to Evil, and I was like, as a wrestler, as one of the boys, I'm like, man, like, this is starting to look really fucking reckless. It was like, I don't know if they're just so good that they can make things seem reckless and then not hurt, or if they're just reckless and not give a shit, and Evil and Sonata are just that professional. Because there was certain points in that match where I was just like, Jesus Christ, like, really? Like, that, you know, there was just one of those, like, that's a little far. That stretched it a lot. You get what I'm saying? Okay. But the second half of the match was just beautiful.
Speaking of taking it a little far, how about Lance Archer spraying everybody in the crowd with beverages? I mean,
how much water did he have?
Give those people the Rampway raincoats, for God's sake.
Did you not see his Twitter before Wrestle Kingdom?
No, I don't think I did.
When somebody messaged him and said how many bottles of water has he taken to the ring with him this year, and he said, "Don't worry, this year I will be the Rainmaker." And
he was.
He had a case of water bottles with him.
He was taking that spot from Okada if he had to do it by hook or crook, but he made it rain.
Oh my God, he had like 6 bottles of water. If I'd have been in the front row or anywhere close to him, I'd have been seriously pissed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, these poor Japanese fans are getting drenched here. This is like being front row at a Gallagher show.
And it's not like you can say anything to him because, you know, he's like 6'5", 6'6", and, you know, the average Japanese person is like, what, 5'4", 5'5", 140 pounds? Like, you just gotta sit there and let this guy spit on you and pray that, you know, it's only a little bit.
But at least redemption came in the end for both Sonata and Evil when Sonata came off the top turnbuckle with a moonsault to pin Davey Boy Smith. So we had a title change. One of many on this show.
This one I was okay with. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm glad they won, and I don't know what the deal with Killer Elite Squad is. They're a good tag team. They just don't really seem like a good fit in Suzuki-gun.
That might be the case. But
it's like, to me, it seems like that holds them back more than it helps them. But yeah, I'm glad to see LIJ got some belts here.
Once again, you gave me a transition, Jason, because speaking of Suzuki-gun, we had Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto for the Never Overweight Championship and a hair versus hair match. So I'm going to start at the end, and we can work our way backward, because the end after the match was my favorite part of the whole thing, because Misu had to have his head shaved, and he gets presented with the chair and the razor, and he's like, you know what? Screw this, you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. He grabs the razor, he sits down, he shaves off his own hair, and slams it down on the chair. I'm like...
If there was a saving grace of this inexplicable booking, that was it. But what's really telling is this was a no-seconds match, and in a no-seconds match, we had the seconds come to ringside and interfere. Fuck that bullshit.
Well, at least it was only for a few seconds, and it didn't really affect the match whatsoever, so I was okay with that.
It didn't, but it didn't add anything to the match either, other than, oh boy, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Oh wait, it's not. I mean, we could have done without it completely.
But now, when I say we're working our way backwards, I've got to mention some of the spots in this match that once again, Jason, you keyed in on things that I really liked about this match, like the sleeper hold that Suzuki
right
started
at the beginning
out with.
Of the match.
Yeah. And Goto, again, just like Evil in the last match, was acting like he was a corpse. He was just totally
He sort of
dead.
like he was dead, like he was out. He was just dead weight.
Mm-hmm. And then
this was my favorite match of the show. Favorite match. Hands down. Just because of the psychology they told at the beginning of this match.
Mm-hmm. And the violence just seemed to keep elevating from there. Like, the one spot, again, Jason keyed in on something I really love, when Misu just went batshit and started slapping the piss out of Goto, and I was popping for every single shot he landed.
Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, it's almost as satisfying as when he did the same thing to Okada at the G1, but...
Almost.
Almost. I mean, Gato's almost up there as someone I want to see get the piss slapped out of him as much as Okada, but it was quite satisfying watching during this match.
And as much as you guys, and I'm including Abby when I say you guys, even though she's not here, as much as you guys crap on Goto, that Avalanche Ushigoroshi was, wow, that was a holy shit moment.
First of all, I like Goto, okay? Second of all, that Avalanche spot was beautiful. I don't know if, you noticed it or Jason noticed it, while Goto was outside of the ring playing dead, Suzuki just kind of walked up to him and just started, it was almost like he was slapping him with his foot. Mm-hmm. We just kept kicking him dead in the face. He's just like, they have the ring doctor come checking on him, and the referees try to check on him, and he's just, like you said, he's a corpse, and, Suzuki just comes up and just pushes everybody away, just starts kicking him in the face, like, wake up, come on, get up, get up. And it's just those kind of moments, those things that he does that nobody else does, where you're just like, man, this guy really doesn't like people, or he really likes to hurt people. When that whole strike exchange where Goto was just chopping it, fight back and just slapping the shit out of him, chopping the shit out of him. And, Minoru is just sitting there laughing on the English version, Don Callis was calling Minoru Suzuki a sadist or whatever, saying that he loves the pain. And you see that he's just standing there just smiling, and it's just like, okay, I've taken enough. All right, now it's time for you to stop. It's just like, bam. I'm sitting there, I rewind as a wrestler. I sit back and I rewind whenever Minoru throws a strike, trying to figure out how does he get such a loud pop off of a forearm. I have no idea.
Yeah.
My favorite is when Suzuki gets into that mode where he's a bit of a masochist, where he's like, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of pain from you. Then he gets that smirk, and he's like, okay, you all done. Now it's my turn. And then he turns into the sadist.
Exactly. That smirk is one of my favorite things ever. Every time Mizu smiles like that, I'm like, ooh, somebody's going to die.
Beautiful murder about to take place.
Yes. So, you didn't like the booking, you didn't like the finish, but I still love the match, even if the guy I didn't want to win won. And the psychology of the post-match, I think, put it all together and made it work.
For the record, Jason, I would think that you would at least be happy that Goto changed his gear.
He kind of reverted back to his pre-chaos days Goto gear.
But it looked very samurai-ish. You know what I'm saying? I thought you would love it. There was of course, and I guess it's because I'm a wrestler, I realized there was a lot of guys that had brand new gear specifically for this show. And I was just checking out everybody's gear man, this is really, really nice. And there was some gear that I actually looked at and I was like, I think this person designed that. And so I'm 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm messaging and tweeting, people that I know that design gear and make gear. I'm like, did you make this? Did you make that?
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Will? You just gave me a transition. You just stepped up into that role because I wanted to mention Hiromu Takahashi's robe. That was a thing of beauty. I would put that robe on and I would parade around the house in it if I had that robe. That thing was awesome. And
oh my God.
Hiromu's Rey Mysterio entrance.
Well, Daryl Jr. was definitely feeling like a luchador with his lucha mask on.
Who's jumping out the sky? Hiromu Takahashi.
Nobody's gear was anywhere. Tanahashi's gear was good and Takahashi stuff, but like you were saying before we came on the air or whatever, Marty Scurll's, the wings with the mat. Oh my
Coming out from the floor.
When he walked out and
WWF Brood.
Yeah, he spread those wings and stood there on the stage. I was like, you just stole the show. And you haven't even hit a move.
Entrance of the night.
Yeah. And he complimented it when he got in the ring too, because he unfurled the umbrella and he had written a message on it for the entire crowd.
A special message that he's the champion and he's here at Wrestle Kingdom and he's the villain. It was beautiful. Yes. And I don't get what was up with Will Ospreay's Ultimo Dragon attire. I mean, was there a Mysterio versus Ultimo theme going on there?
You know what's funny is Ospreay was the most plain looking out of all 4 of these guys.
He really was. What was up with that, man?
Purple hair and a dragon robe, and he's the most plain looking one.
Go figure.
That says something.
Only at Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, we got to throw that whole theory that Ospreay is not taking bookings outside of his home turf in England because he won the match with an Oscutter and is now the champion. So I guess he must be working some matches with Skrull around the circuit.
First of all, I want to hear Jason say it. Kushida did an excellent job to this match, and this match would not have been as good without Kushida involved in it.
Amen. Amen.
I mean, yeah, I like seeing Kushida being used as a punching bag. Kushida almost, he almost hit that avalanche cross arm breaker. He did a good job of saving it when he didn't land quite right with it. But yeah, I mean, I liked watching Kushida get his ass kicked.
You also liked seeing powder being thrown in his eyes by Marty Skrull.
I sure did. The old school 1980s wrestling fan in me popped when he got hit in the face with that, like, powder, yes!
Yeah, was that Monsel powder that we always used to hear about back in the day? What was that stuff called? Wasn't it called Monsel powder? I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that from like the late 70s, early 80s. When it was some kind of athletic powder, like for foot odor or something. I don't know. But yeah, he went into that bag of tricks in the medical kit because we also got the athletic tape, being used to great effect.
To Romu to the outside guardrail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the match itself was fine. The match was insane. It was a balls-to-the-wall cruiserweight match, which I absolutely love. But again, it's kind of a questionable booking decision to give Will Ospreay the title. If you're going to give Will Ospreay the title, why did you take it off him in the first place and give it to Marty Skrull only to give it back to Will Ospreay?
I was thinking that same thing, Jason. Like, I couldn't understand that whatsoever. It's like, if this was the plan the entire time, then why give it to Marty in the first place? You should have just had Will Ospreay hold it until Wrestle Kingdom, and then, give it to Marty, or wait till New Beginnings or whatever to put it on Marty. I have no idea why they even did that.
Just very, very questionable
Honestly,
outcomes in the whole show.
No, to me, the booking really didn't get questionable until after this match. I didn't think Ospreay should win, but I was okay with it. But Hiroshi Tanahashi going clean over Jay White, that was when I seriously had a problem with the booking. I'm like, Tanahashi, as we've already said many times on this show, is working half crippled these days, and yet he still has to go over with his high fly flow. Like, why? Why can't you
There
make
is
Jay White?
so much I want to say about this match.
Yeah,
But before you go into that, Jason, can I say how awesome Tanahashi's hair and his entrance robe look?
I'm going to channel Abby.
Are you being
she's
serious?
Not here. I got to go, stupid Tana, stupid hair.
No, but his entrance robe, I liked his robe. Like, had like a little bit of like Sergeant Pepper, whatever on the shoulder and stuff. It was pretty sweet, man. Like, I liked it.
Well, I really don't have a
judge
problem
me.
with it. I got to do it for Abby since she can't do it herself right now. So
His hair was immaculate as well.
all right, but the match wasn't immaculate. It was very slow
it was
going.
the worst match of the card.
And once it finally picked up pace, it started to become clear to me that Tanahashi was making the big comeback to get the win, and then I really lost interest.
To me, if you have that little faith in Jay White, putting Jay White in I would call it a semi-main event, even though it wasn't second to last. Putting Jay White in a semi-main event shows that you have some faith in Jay White when they obviously did not. If that's the case, why not put somebody else in there with Tanahashi, like Tenzan or some seasoned veteran? If you don't have the faith in Jay White to carry off a good match, which it kind of seemed like they didn't maybe halfway through the match or something, just scrub the match. Or, it would have been better if they said, you know what, Tanahashi is too injured. We're taking this match off the card. Instead, you'll get Jay White versus, Leo Tonga or something on the undercard. But to have this match go on and have no faith in Jay White, it made no sense and it hurt the show.
And it just, long term, doesn't seem to make sense. Again, I'm not Gato. I don't know what's in his mind. I don't know what the plans are for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But you've got a guy who probably should take 6 months off just to heal up his body, going clean over your young, up-and-coming wrestler. Why?
Didn't help that the fans weren't into Jay White at all. And again, it kind of had me wondering too, kind of like with the Young Bucks and Roppongi 3K, was this just that Jay White is green and unseasoned, or was this Hiroshi Tanahashi not giving him anything?
I'm gonna go with Tanahashi not giving him anything. Cause watching him, Jay White, when he was at ROH and stuff, obviously the kid can work. The kid can go. And this was just, in my opinion, this was one of those, I'm the vet. I'm really sore and banged up. I know you like doing all this flippy floppy stuff, but I'm not feeling it tonight. I want to be safe. Sorry, kid. Maybe this should have been your moment, but you'll live to wrestle another day. I kind of agree with you, Jason. Like, I wish they would have made Jay White a lot more aggressive. He would have taken advantage a lot more of Tanahashi's injuries, and then give Tanahashi like 6 to 8 months and bring him back, right before, or bring him back during the New Japan Cup, or bring him back during the G1. I'm sorry, bring him back in the G1 or whatever. Yeah.
It's like after the 64th Dragon Screw in this match, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go to bed. I am tired, and this match is doing nothing to keep me up.
Oh, yeah. This match was a definite hard sell for me to get through the rest of the card afterward. But thankfully, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho brought the house down with their match. It's Wrestle Kingdom
woke me right the fuck up. This was the match that I was the most worried about, and the match that came out the best.
If they had ended the show after this, it would have been great. Go ahead, Will.
What the hell? Like, this was like a Jericho. This was old pre-WWE, WWF, WCW Jericho. Like, this was Jericho.
Was Lionheart Jericho.
Yes, this was Lionheart Jericho versus Wild Pegasus Chris Benoit when he slapped Benoit and said, "Come on, motherfucker." Like, he was all over the place. He knocked down Red Shoes and then put his son in the Lion's Hammer right beside him.
And that was after destroying the announce table.
Oh my, can we say shout outs to Don Callis for catching Kenny Omega?
Yeah.
Can we say a shout out to him for catching Kenny Omega? Because nobody else did. Like, it was all Don Callis for catching Kenny Omega and destroying that announce table.
And that's why I had to go back and listen to the English commentary today, because I wanted to hear what they had to say after that spot. And Don and Kenny are just both going like, "Are we on?" Kevin just looks at Don. "Are we on? Are we on the air?" And Don's like, "I don't know. I can hear you. You can hear me. I don't know if they can hear us." It was just hilarious listening to them trying to explain what just happened.
Looked like a Japanese table. That looked like a plastic Japanese table where the legs just kind of broke off. I mean, that had to hurt.
Yeah, that was a holy shit spot. But there were so many holy shit spots in this match.
I love the Boston Crab repellent in a can.
The hairspray. That was so good. And then Kenny
grabs that can while he's in the Boston Crab, sprays Jericho in the face with it. Just what a way to get out of a submission hold in a no DQ match.
But even better, he takes it, he sprays it under one arm, he sprays it under the other, and then he pulls open his trunks, shoots it down, and goes, "Ah!" Like he just froze himself.
But those unprotected chair shots to the head that were so hard, the seats went flying at him.
Oh my God.
When he drop kicked the chair into Jericho on the turnbuckle, I thought they seriously gave him a concussion with that spot.
Oh, like those chair shots made me so nervous. And then not even that, like when he was running Omega's head into the chair, and kudos to Omega for the really good blade job.
He bled buckets. It was coming right down his eye.
Yeah, it's like good job on the blade job. 'Cause that's an art in itself as well. But like those, him just running him into the chair in the corner, I was like, oh God. Like, can we stop it?
Or that B trigger that knocked Jericho off the turnbuckle and sent him crashing through the table.
Oh, God, yeah. That one, I was like, Jericho, you didn't have to take that bump at your age? No, man, no.
New Japan seems to have this trend where the second to last match upstages the main event, and the main event just fails to live up to it, and this was no exception.
Well, this was the main event for the rest of the world. Let's just be honest. Like, this was the 10 to 15,000 people who showed up from last year. Like, this is their main event.
It's strange because I wasn't expecting it to be my main event, and it was.
You must say you weren't. You was very worried because Jericho hasn't worked outside of WWF/E ring in like 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Yes. So what did you think about Jericho? So I'm taking that you were very impressed with Jericho.
It's the hair. He had to grow the hair back. It's like Samson, but
Did
he grew the hair back. He doesn't have the hockey dad hair anymore. He's got the Lionheart hair back. He hit the lion salt. There were times where he kind of teased going into the old school lion tamer with that Boston crab. A couple times he had a nice high angle on it for a little bit. So yeah, I definitely liked the style Jericho worked. It definitely wasn't his WWE safe style. And with some of those chair shots, oh my goodness, yeah, Vince would never allow those.
Okay, guys, I gotta ask you both a question. Did you notice the same callback to Omega Okada that I did?
Which one was that?
When he hit the one-wing angel, and at the very last second, Jericho reached out and grabbed the ropes before 3.
I saw that coming. Yeah, I was like, they were so close to the ropes. I'm like, I bet Jericho's going to grab that rope, and lo and behold, he did. And
I popped for that. How often do you pop for a rope break? That was such a beautiful moment.
Well, to tell you the truth, Stevie, I popped from the very beginning when the lights went out and you seen the arm stretch out and you seen the lights. I was like, oh, he's wearing the coat. Like, yes.
Yeah. Seeing that light up jacket reflecting the lights in the Tokyo Dome was beautiful. Just beautiful.
There was kind of a really interesting story and psychology to it because Omega hit the one-wing angel, but he was really close to the ropes and Jericho was able to grab it. And then Jericho hit the codebreaker on Omega, but he only caught the codebreaker if you caught it with one of his knees, and Omega was able to kick out. So it was kind of like each man hit their finishing move, but didn't hit it the right way.
And the right way apparently was to hit the one-wing angel onto a chair.
Holy fuck, was that brutal. That was the way to end the match. If you want to put a nice little crescendo on everything, holy fuck, that brutal one-wing angel onto a chair was the icing on the murder cake.
What I love most about this match was the story, because if you notice, Kenny Omega really didn't have anything to prove. Like, this was all Chris Jericho being aggressive, being like, hey, I still have it. I'm still the best in the world. So I love the fact that usually it's the younger talent who's being very aggressive with something to prove, and the older, more experienced person in the ring is very like composed and keeping everything under control and everything. And in this situation, it was completely opposite, and Jericho was just going into being super disrespectful to everybody.
Even yelling at the announcers during the match. He would call out spots and yell at the announcers, hey, watch this.
Oh, which reminds me, rewind some to my favorite spot of the entire night. Totally forgot it. During the Cody Rhodes Ibushi match, the wind up middle finger. I don't know if y'all caught it.
That was great. I popped for that too.
Or how about when Jericho steals the photographer's camera?
Yes.
Takes a picture of himself flipping off the crowd.
Yeah, flipping everybody off, and then throws the camera back at the cameraman like, okay, here.
But he used to do that back during his, before he went to WCW. That was like something he used to do all the time, was that he would take the ringside photographer's camera and take pictures and then throw it back to him. That was like, I guess that was a throwback Jericho. I don't know, but yeah, that's something he used to do all the time before he came to WCW.
Man, I'd forgotten that he used to do that, but I'll have to go back and watch his old matches now to see that again, because that was such a funny spot. I mean, this whole match was just beautiful. This was the 5-star match of the night, hands down.
Can I say there was only one thing about this match that disappointed me?
What was that?
Is the fact that both of you guys have read Jericho's book. You know his history in New Japan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where he was like in a stable with Gato and Jado and stuff, and they were like Team No Respect?
Team No Respect, yeah.
Like, I was so disappointed that Gato and Jado didn't come out to second this match. Like,
you got Gato, who's Okada's little whipping boy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Jado could have came out with him as his second, just because they have history, and wrestling fans know that Chris Jericho has been in New Japan before.
Yeah, John
and they showed
anything in the show. He didn't,
exactly.
He didn't even get into the Rambo like he has in years past.
Like, and they showed Chris Jericho being in New Japan during like the video package and stuff before the match. Like, they should have had one of those two guys be his second.
Maybe, but I don't feel like it lost anything for him not being there. I think it still was a great match no matter what.
Oh yeah.
What was the show where Switchblade showed up and attacked Tanahashi?
Was that one of the December shows?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because that had a very similar feel to it, where kind of Tanahashi was like the last match, but it didn't feel like a main event because the match before it was so great.
Yeah. I want to say it was one of the December shows.
Yeah, I think whatever the show was it like it might have been one of the last World Tag League shows or something, but.
All right, well, better we talk about this now than never. We got to get it over with.
Let's go ahead.
Okada retains over Tetsuya Naito with the Rainmaker. Why?
That's why, right there, because everybody's tired of Okada winning. That's why. I wonder if back in like the 40s or whatever, when Bruno Sammartino was killing everybody and winning nonstop, were fans talking about this too, or were they just that happy that he was winning?
No, we were talking about work rate and how shitty they were booking back then. We were talking about how Luke Bez is a no-selling bastard.
Damn that Ed Strangler Lewis. He just refuses to sell for anybody.
Luke Bez, no-selling spot monkey bastard.
Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
As for an actual match itself, it wasn't my favorite match of the card. It also wasn't a terrible match.
It wasn't terrible, but to me it didn't feel like the main event of the biggest show of the year, especially given the match that preceded it.
Right. They got upstaged by Jericho and Omega, and then the finish just left me completely boggled. Like, you had such an opportunity to elevate Naito here because the crowd was so into him. I could hear women screaming Naito's name throughout this whole match. There were people desperate for him to win on the biggest stage of all, and to finally break this 1,300-day streak of Okadas and this 4 Wrestle Kingdom streak of Okadas, and somebody should end this streak.
And to be the first guy to ever cash in Money in the Bank successfully, it should have been Naito. It should have been last night, but it wasn't.
Yes, and I don't understand the mind of Gato here. There's a time for things to be right, and maybe this isn't the time, and maybe he knows something I don't. But boy, did it feel like last night was the time, and they missed it. That's how it felt.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I don't know if it's cocaine or somas or what, but damn. Somebody explain it to me, and maybe
mushrooms. And some psychedelic shiitakes.
Will, what do you have to say?
I don't know if the guys were just tired because first of all, we even talk about the fact that this was like a 5-hour show. This show was an hour longer than last year's Wrestle Kingdom. Like, this show was a marathon. So I don't know, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know when you're in the main event and you look at the card and there was only 7, 8 matches this show? 7? Not including the Rambo. But I've been.
I guess you had the gauntlet match that was technically one match, but it was like 3-4 matches in one.
Yeah. When you're looking at a card and it's like 10, 11 matches before you get to have yours, you're warming up, you're trying to stay loose, whatever. It just gets to a point where you're just ready to go home. And the intermission was not that long. So they didn't have much of a break to kind of like recharge. It was, I feel like they were kind of tired. They was ready to go. And then at the same time, they're not going to do, and no offense, but I don't really think those two guys really like each other because neither one of them did anything that would be considered risky like they did with Kenny Omega. Like, if you look at each one of these gentlemen, Okada and Naito, they've both done things with Kenny Omega, and they've taken moves from Kenny Omega that they did that I don't feel like they would even fathom taking from each other. So I just don't feel like there's any chemistry with these guys, whether it's through a lack of trust or they just can't get their shit together.
That's a good way to put it. I wanted to ask you a hypothetical too, Will. You are now World Heavyweight Champion. If you were going on last and the match before you was something akin to Jericho and Omega, would you not up the stakes then from what you had originally planned in your heavyweight championship match, or would you just kind of stay the course as usual?
Me myself, because I just had to do that this past Saturday, where I was on the card. They had 7 matches before us, and they did everything remotely possible. You know, they did all the dives, they did all the flips, they did some of the spots that me and my opponent wanted to do. And so I was like, hey, we're just going to call it audible, and we're just going to go out here and just beat the shit out of each other. Like, these guys have given them, you know, the carrots and the potato salad and the macaroni and cheese, that we're going to give these motherfuckers the meat and potatoes, and we're just going to beat the shit out of each other. And if we can't dazzle them with brilliance, then we'll just baffle them with bullshit. Like they, you know.
That's actually kind of good, because, yeah, I mean, if all the stops are pulled out, then, yeah, to be different, what you can do is call it on the fly. Just improv it as you go.
Yeah.
And I like the double entendre there, Will. You gave them the meat and the potatoes, because you probably potatoed each other.
Oh yeah, we beat the hell out of each other, and it just comes to the fact where it's like, okay, you might say, oh, the rest of that stuff was kind of like fake, and that stuff was fake, but those two guys that made the event, no, they were beating the shit out of each other. Like, you can't fake that, because I heard that. You can't fake that sound, and that guy's lip was busted, and that guy was all bruised up. Like, you can't fake that shit.
Okay, and that actually is the biggest problem with what they had to follow, because Omega was bleeding from his mouth like 2 minutes into the match with Chris Jericho. So having to follow that, it's like this level of scripted professional wrestling doesn't feel comparable to the level of violence we just saw.
Exactly, and I don't envy Okada and Naito for their position on the show, for the simple fact that we all know if you have two wrestlers in the ring and they're pretty good friends, they're going to do stuff that other people are not going to do. These guys know each other. They like each other. They're from the same hometown. They're both from Winnipeg. For like one weekend, I guess for one week, the wrestling world revolved around Winnipeg in Ontario, Canada. And you take certain liberties with your friends and stuff that you won't take with somebody you're not that familiar with. It's like, oh, he's my friend. I'll punch him in the face. He'll be all right. He'll forgive me, or he'll just punch me back, whatever. But I really feel like, I don't know if it was the fact of how long the show was, or if it's just the fact that literally, if you guys go back and you watch any of the matches Okada has had with Kenny Omega, or with Ishii, or you watch any of Naito's matches with those same two gentlemen, the mentality and the way that they work is totally different than they worked last night. Like I said, I don't know if they just don't trust each other, if they're not very familiar with each other, or they just don't like each other and they weren't willing to take those risks.
That brings up something that I wanted to mention. In the last two Wrestle Kingdoms that I've watched live, Wrestle Kingdoms 11 and 10, you had two really good main events and semi-main events that, you know, one might have upstaged the other, but they were still fantastic and made you feel like it was the biggest show of the year. Last year, we had Naito defeating Tanahashi in the semi-main event, retaining the Intercontinental Championship, which I thought was match of the year. And then following that, you had the 6-star match that Meltzer gave Okada and Omega. That's what closed out Wrestle Kingdom 11. What closed out Wrestle Kingdom 10, semi-main event of Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles' beautiful murder over that Intercontinental Championship, followed by Kazuchika Okada finally beating Hiroshi Tanahashi in the Tokyo Dome. And you just really didn't have that feel here with Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Nope. You did.
Not at all. It did not have a big fight. It didn't have a big fight feel. Like, the way they had built this up, it did not have a big fight feel. And I'm going to tell you the truth, as not only as a wrestler, but as a man, which I'm pretty sure both of you guys can agree with this. If I've fought and worked and busted my ass all year to get this main event spot, and then you have the audacity to say that the semi-main is also the main event as well. Well, with me being the main event of the actual legitimate main event of this show, we're fighting for the title in this company. I have a chip on my shoulder, and I'm gonna go out here and prove to you fuckers, hey, look, I don't care what Jericho and Omega did. This is what matters. This match is the main event. This is what everybody came to see, not these two fuckers right here. I don't care. And if need be, I would break my neck to prove that point.
And that did play into my mind. It didn't hit me until a few hours after the show, but I'm like, you know what? Damned if Omega wasn't right about his match being the main event. It was. I mean, his match was the main event. He called it, and we all thought he was being cocky and snarky and whatever, but no, he was dead on the money.
I'll tell you what, Jason, if you go back and you watch, because like I watched Wrestle Kingdom, and then I passed out, I went to sleep, and I woke back up, and then I rewatched the entire show all over again. Because at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you forget, you miss some things, you don't realize what's going on really, no matter how much sleep you got before that. It's just 4 in the morning, you're drowsy. So I went back and rewatched the show today, and even from their entrance, you could tell they just did not care. They had no confidence in themselves whatsoever that they could upstage that semi-main match.
I guess not. Well, on that sad note, I still give the show anywhere from a B to a B minus, but I know Jason was much further down on it, so before he gives his score, Will, what was yours?
I will give this match a B minus.
The card as a whole, though.
The card as a whole, I will give it a B minus. There was some booking mistakes that they should have known better than to do. But the bright spots, the things that I enjoyed far outweighed, the things that I didn't enjoy, and it didn't feel like a throwaway pay-per-view. You know, it's still, for the most part, with the exception of the actual true main event, it's still, a lot of the matches still had that this is the biggest show of the year. And we need to act accordingly. So I'll give it a B minus.
Well, then your sentiments are pretty much akin to mine. But Jason, now you get to grade it yourself.
Yeah, being generous, I would give this a C if I'm grading by the standard that New Japan is the top promotion in terms of work rate in the world, and this is their biggest show of the year. If I'm grading by that criteria, I'm going to be a little harsher and give it a C minus.
All right, we'll get Abby's
the main event failed to deliver. Tanahashi and Switchblade failed to deliver. There were just so many questionable booking decisions, so many stars that could have been made but weren't because of how things went. It had the potential to be so much more than it was, and it fell flat on nearly every level except for Cody and Kota Ibushi and Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega.
We will have to get Abby's grade next week since she's not here with us tonight. But in the meantime, what we can get is cheap plugs, because I know the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion William Huckabee has some upcoming dates.
Yes, I do. This Saturday, I will be in Buchanan, Georgia for UIW, that's Universal Independent Wrestling, in Buchanan, Georgia. Next weekend, super huge weekend, next Friday, I will be at Mega Championship Wrestling defending my AIWF World Heavyweight title in Marmet, West Virginia. And then on the 13th, it's just like a whole weekend of just defending my titles and stuff. But yeah, got a bunch of cool things. Be sure to check me out on social media. Listen to me every week on the Wrestling Nerdcast with Mika Villas. Our guest next week will be who I'm going to say has the Savage Spot of the year already. Fred Yehi will be our guest this coming week. Also, we got a bunch of cool things coming up. We have a Patreon account. We're about to release the information for our patron account. We got a lot of cool,
account sounds like a pretty good idea. I could take a shot at Patron right now.
I know. It's the Southern in me. Patron account. But yeah, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check us out. Word.
Absolutely. Check it out every Tuesday night. The Wrestling Nerdcast. You don't want to miss it, especially with a huge, evolved WWN independent wrestling star like Fred Yehi. But he's just one of the many, many great guests they've had on the show. Jason, what do you have to plug?
I'm going to plug WrestleCrap.com because voting for the 2017 Gooker Awards has just opened. So definitely check out WrestleCrap and throw in your vote for what was the worst of last year of 2017. I'll plug in JPWWorld.com, the best 999 yen you can spend a month, and don't pirate New Japan or Will Huckabee will find you and kill you. You can find me on Twitter. I'm a great Sudoku. Do not pirate New Japan. Someone else who doesn't pirate New Japan, Abby. She's on Twitter at Abby A, and check out her writing at TopRopePress.com.
Yes. Yeah, you can check out 2 excellent reports on Wrestle Kingdom 12. You can check out Jason's here at Angry Marks, or you can check out Abby's over at Top Rope Press. But if you didn't see the show, don't pirate it. Go read one of those reports, decide if it was worth watching for yourself, and then order New Japan World, because there will be more than just Wrestle Kingdom 12 that you will want to watch. I guarantee it. But
especially if you already own a Fire TV stick. You might as well. If you own a Fire TV stick, just go out and buy New Japan World.
Indeed, because it is very easy to watch if you have that device. So, On that note, we just made Amazon some money, so make us some money by going to our YouTube account and watching some of our videos. YouTube.com/AngryMarks.com. DOTCOM. You can follow me at AngryMarks, and you can check out Thursday Night AMP every week on iTunes, keyword AngryMarks, or at AngryMarks.com. Thanks for listening. This has been Stevie J along with the great Sudoku Jason Harlan and the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion William Huckabee. Good night. We'll see you in 7 days.